And welcome, sports fans, to today's Roundtable. And we got a great show lined up for you. We're going to be talking some high school football, and it's a big day for the state of Missouri. It's the quarterfinal round of the state tournament in all the classes. We'll be going over those matchups and the state tournament brackets throughout the show. So a big day. After today, we'll have the semifinal round filled, and only one game away from state championships in high school football in the state of Missouri. So be looking forward to those matchups later on this afternoon. And we've got David Jenkins in with us from the Standard Democrat, and we're going to talk about those matchups taking place today and going forward as well. And also we're going to take a look at the Riverbend Classic in New Madrid, a big basketball kickoff for the season over at New Madrid County Central. Just touch on the teams that will be participating in that coming up in just a few weeks. So basketball is just around the corner. We're done with football here at YHC and with our broadcasts, and we'll be getting ready for basketball in probably 3 weeks coming up. So a lot to look forward to there, and we'll be getting our schedule together, our broadcast schedule, in the next coming weeks. So we'll be bringing that to the roundtable in the next upcoming shows. So we'll be getting into high school basketball here real soon. So we'll be looking forward to that coming up. And we're also going to talk about the pro and college football games taking place this weekend. We'll touch on those. And so we're glad you've joined us for the show this week. And we got a great show lined up for you. And we're going to bring on David Jenkins coming up next. And we got a lot to talk about these high school football matchups over this weekend. We've got some teams participating right here in our local southeast Missouri area that will be looking to advance to the semifinal round. So we're going to take a break and bring David up. Coming up next.
Welcome to NFL Total Access,
the show that takes you inside the locker room and down on the field. With inside access to all 32 teams all year long. NFL Total Access, Monday through Saturday, only on NFL Network.
NFL Network, where football season never ends.
I chose Three Rivers College. Caring staff made it easy to enroll. I'm receiving affordable, quality college classes. Day, evening, and online classes let me work college into my schedule.
With locations throughout Southeast Missouri and over 200 course offerings, including online courses, Three Rivers can help you earn a college or career technical degree.
I chose Three Rivers College. You should too.
Enroll today. Learn more at trcc.edu. Three Rivers College. Success starts here.
First Midwest Bank Gold Club offers special privileges for our friends who are age 50 or better and have combined deposits of $5,000. Members enjoy trips, cruises, seminars, and picnics along with free personalized bank services. Upcoming trips include Journey Through the Holy Land, Yellowstone in winter, Classic Ireland, and Hawaiian Paradise Cruise. Stop by any First Midwest Bank location to sign up for the Gold Club. It's absolutely free. First Midwest Bank, providing common sense financial solutions every day.
And we're now along with David Jenkins of the Standard Democrat, and he's here along with us to talk about these football matchups taking place today in the state quarterfinal rounds. And David, we got you back, and it's an exciting time, exciting day for high school football. We've still got some area teams participating. We're going to go over all those games, and we're going to take a look at these matchups. And we'll start with Class 1 with the state tournament in Class 1, and we don't really have a local team in this one. Valley Catholic up at St. Genevieve is taking on Marionville today in Class 1. And, Valley Catholic, historic program, and they're undefeated this year, and they're rolling, and many expect
just ride them in that state championship game. Let's just go ahead and move it on to that, because I would be shocked if they lost between now and that state championship game. They've got a great team. They're running back from last year's back, Tyler Fowler, who had like over 2,000 yards last year. I think he's on the same pace this year. I mean, he's outstanding running back. They have just talent all over the field, and this, for a Class 1 team, they could come down here and compete against some of the biggest schools around here. So I think just kind of pencil them in and see what they can do in the state championship game.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong here, they made the state championship but lost last year?
Yeah, they lost the state championship game last year. And
So
I
I know
think they
they
won it like a couple years before that.
Yeah.
They were on a run there, but I think they made the state championship game like the last 4 years, if I'm not mistaken. So,
Yeah.
so they're on a good run here, and they, I think they have the most state championships in the state for a school. So, they're used to being there, and they.
And the thing is, we've seen some pretty good Class 1 teams the past couple of years. We saw Portageville last year have a really good run, went undefeated, or not undefeated, but had one loss up until that game they met up with them. And Chaffee this year,
Right.
Chaffee didn't meet up with them this year. Thayer got the better of Chaffee there in the district semifinals. But we've seen some good Class 1 teams.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to the Chaffee.
They can't really hold a candle
yeah.
to Valley.
I was really looking forward to seeing Chaffee play them, see how they can match up. I went to the Chaffee Thayer game, and Chaffee just, they just couldn't pull it off. They kind of bad field conditions, which played into Thayer's favor. A big strong school, and kind of they just run it up the middle every play, and Chaffee likes to get out and throw, and Chaffee just made a couple mistakes that just cost them, and they just couldn't. I think that would have been an interesting game because Chaffee had the offense that could have maybe caused Valley some problems. I think Valley still would have beat them, but maybe been a little bit more than what Thayer could offer. Because Thayer, like I said, they just kind of run that wing tee, running up the middle, which is easy to defend if you're Valley. But it didn't happen. But Chaffee was a very good team this year. They won the SEMO South Conference, so a very good team.
They had a strong season this year. And got a lot of big wins, but just come down to the end. Just had a tough loss there with Thayer, and Thayer goes up against Valley, and not really much contest for them.
They lost 34-12, and I heard it wasn't that close, and it was just kind of one of those Thayer with Thayer, you know what you're going to get. They're going to line up, they're going to tight formation, they're going to run the ball up the middle. Like I said, Chaffee, with their quarterback, Peyton Montgomery, who I think is one of the best in Southeast Missouri. He runs all over the place, and you never have him even when you think you have him, you don't have him. And he made some of the best runs I've seen from a high school quarterback in a long time. And he's got a good arm. He had some good receivers that could catch the ball. It just they played on a kind of a rainy night, and then they kind of played a little tight in the second half because they were kind of playing afraid to lose a little bit, and that kind of hurt them. But Chaffee was a very good football team, and one of the top teams in Southeast Missouri this year.
Yeah, they had a really good season, and I don't know what they'll be bringing back next year if they can.
They lose a lot.
They lose a lot.
They bring the quarterback back, but they lose a lot of his players he passed to. So it'll be interesting to see what they do next year.
Yeah, but a fine season by the Red Devils, that's for sure. So taking a look at that Class 1 bracket if we can. Valley Catholic there at the top there. They're going to be taking on Marionville later on today. And down the way, and we're not really familiar with any of the other teams here, Osceola and Crest Ridge. Western taking on Marceline, West Platte, and Penny. You have anything to add about those teams down the way?
It's probably going to come down, I would guess, between Valley and Penny. And Penny beat them last year in the championship game. I would kind of think that's going to be a rematch this year. And it's it was a good game last year. Probably the same anybody's game this year. It'd be a great game to watch if anybody's not busy. The weekend after Thanksgiving to go up and watch some football. That's probably a good game to see because that's going to be two evenly matched teams.
Yeah, that would be good. Hamilton. What happened to Hamilton? I just now saw it. Now that I look at it,
it's a Hamilton Penny.
Hamilton Penny. Okay,
it's a consolidated school.
Okay, because I know Hamilton's the defending champ.
Right, it's Hamilton Penny.
Okay.
They're the defending champs. So.
Okay, I've been seeing them as Hamilton all year long, so that's what threw me off there. So okay, I'm on board with you there. Good game last year in that state championship.
It was outstanding, and it should be the same this year. I think they both have a lot of this, a lot of the main pieces back, so it ought to be a heck of a game. I'm actually kind of been interested to see what happens there, because Valley's a good team. They played New Madrid earlier this year and kind of got the scoop on them, and they're a good team. They're loaded. So
yeah, it would be fun just to see Valley. Which Valley takes on St. Genevieve each year, and I think they beat them this year.
Yeah, they beat them last few years.
So. Yeah, that's a Class 1 against a Class 3. You don't see that very often, which Valley can hang with about anybody once they go up against them. So we'll see how that Class 1 bracket plays out later on today. Now in Class 2, we've got the local Crothersville Tigers in the mix once again this year in the quarterfinals against Lutheran North. And what can you tell us about this matchup today?
It's pretty, they're evenly matched teams. Crothersville's won 10 in a row. They lost that one early to Liberty that kind of got ugly, but since then they haven't lost. They've rattled it off. But their main player Daryl Monroe, he's been hurt with an ankle injury, hasn't played, and and supposedly he practiced and is supposed to play a little bit today. But how effective he's going to be, I don't know. Lutheran North, they won 7 in a row. They lost some early, and they play neither team plays a really difficult schedule. I would say both teams play 2 quality opponents, on their schedule at this point, and so it's an evenly matched game, and it's going to be up there. And if it's bad weather, you kind of look at what Crowsville did against St. Pius in the district semifinals when they beat them 12. I think it was like 12-6. A real low-scoring game. Just wasn't what you expected from Crowsville. They don't necessarily play very well in the rain, so you kind of hope it's good weather for Crowsville up there. I think they would do better that way. But they're evenly matched. They both can run the ball. They can throw it a little bit. They have good quarterbacks. They have big-time players at the running back position. So they're very evenly matched. I think it's going to be anybody's game today.
And Crowsville in the district tournament, it was strange to see. They really whomped on Malden. A team in Malden that was playing well at the time. It was around 60-18.
Yeah.
Just run away with it. In the semifinals, they only beat St. Pius 12-6. It was just strange how that worked out.
Yeah, I heard that the weather was bad down in Crowsville. That night for the semifinals when they played St. Pius, and some fumbles, and St. Pius has improved a lot. I thought St. Pius was the second best team in that district, honestly. They just had some losses early before they put it together. I never really thought Malden would give Crowsville much of a challenge. I know that they were playing well, but they just don't match up well with Crowsville. And but St. Pius, they're big, they're strong. They kind of they're a slow-paced team. They really slow you down. They use all the play clock. So and that kind of had an effect on Crowsville, I think. And so all those factors kind of added up. Plus, you're missing Daryl Monroe, who's one of your best,
Were they missing him in that game?
Yeah. He hasn't played since the St. Genevieve game.
Okay.
He played about a little bit of the St. Genevieve game and has been out since. And so they really missed him in that game as far as just playing on the edge too. They were able to gain some yards where if he was on defense, and he might be able to take some of that away. So they really missed him in that game. But he should play today. Like I said, how effective he's going to be, I don't know on that ankle, but we'll see. Yeah,
Crowsville continues their run. Made a semifinal appearance last year, and if we can take a look at this Class 2 bracket, one of the maybe considered the state championship is today.
Right.
Mountain View, Liberty, and Lamar.
Yeah, I think that's number 1 and number 2 teams And we saw what Liberty did to Crowsville earlier this year. I think they put 60-something points on them, and Lamar did the same thing to them last year in the semifinals. So, whoever wins that Crowsville Lutheran North game has a tough challenge ahead of them with Mountain View, Liberty, and Lamar. I'd like to see Crowsville win because I think they would host if they would play Lamar. And I'd like to just see that Lamar. They use the dual quarterback system where they have 2 quarterbacks in the backfield. You don't know which one they're going to snap to. It's a fun little system to watch, and so I'd love to see them play that that game. But Crowsville's got a job to do today first.
Yeah, it'll be tough if Daryl Monroe's not at 100%.
Yeah,
it's certainly going to restrict what they can do on both sides of the ball.
Right. They have a very good quarterback in Tyler Grissom. He's kind of overshadowed a little bit by Monroe, but I think he's a good quarterback who can run and throw, and he makes things happen. They have some good running backs, that are that don't get a lot of publicity, but they're good, quick running backs. But Monroe is a difference maker. He's a big, strong guy, and he's just hard to bring down. He's fast, and I think he's even as good as he is on offense. I think he's even better on defense, and just makes just so many things happen. So they really need him to be healthy.
Yeah, and you spoke about that Mountain View Liberty game earlier in the year, the first game of the year, I believe it was, and I was just shocked that Mountain View Liberty just dominated that game.
Yeah, it was close for about a half, and then the second half they just kind of turned it on them. I think Crowsville has a weakness too against the pass at times, and I think Mountain View just kind of threw it all over the place there in the second half and had some big plays, and Crowsville just wasn't ready for it, especially early in the season. I would expect if those two were to match up, I would expect a better game. Coach Morgan will have Crowsville ready to play, and they'll know what they're going up against either Lamar or Mountain View Liberty. I don't see Crowsville winning that game, a semifinal game against either one of those schools, but I think it'd be a little bit closer than what happened earlier this year and what happened in last year's semifinals.
Yeah, seeing the opponent.
Yeah. Seeing them that gives you a little bit of a
what's coming next time.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit of an insight. You can prepare a little bit better.
Yeah. So it was just shocking just to see. Like, my goodness, they must be just outstanding, and they kind of have the same, or not maybe a point differential, but Mountain View Liberty got the better of them last year, I believe, too. And
they beat them. It was a little bit closer, but I think they was like 49-28, something like that.
Yeah.
It was a little bit closer than 60-27.
Some good football teams right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And Lamar, what they did last year, winning the state championship.
And they've been just putting it on people all year, so and they have pretty much everybody back, I think, from that team too. So and they have 70 players. It's a Class 2 team with 70 players. They've got things going the right way up there.
Half the male student body out there, don't they?
Yeah, they've got things going the right way up there.
What part of the state is that? It's up around the central part.
I think it's up north of Columbia, I believe. Between in the middle of the state, up north of Columbia. So.
Yeah, they've got it going on. That'd be one heck of a game to go to today. I'm not sure where that one's at today, but that's certainly one you'd want to see. And boy, that's a long difference.
Yeah, long drive.
Mountain View Liberty's out west towards West Plains, and you're saying north of Columbia. Wow.
Yeah, I think I may be wrong where Lamar's at.
I think it is.
But I think that's where it is. But either way, it's, you get this time of year, you got some long drives. Crowsville's going up to St. Louis, and so you have a lot of big drives this time of year.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's a good way to between there either.
No, just take some back roads.
You don't really get good roads around that part when you talk about the southern central part of the state to the central part. It's no really good way to go. So. It's going to be a great game between those two, though, once again today. And going to Class 3, we've got a matchup, Park Hill Central and John Burroughs. And Park Hill Central is undefeated, and I believe John Burroughs is as well. And John Burroughs has really done well the past few years. They made it to the state title game last year, lost it in the state championship, but they return a great team once again this year. And Park Hill Central, having one of their better teams in the past few years. What do you think about this matchup?
I'd love to say I'd love to see Park Hill Central win this game just because I'm tired of John Burroughs getting in the state championship game every year and then losing. They're kind of the Buffalo Bills. The way I think they made the last 3 or 4 and lost every year. And plus I'd like to see another a public school knock off a private school. I like that, but. It probably won't happen. John Burroughs is talented as they are every year. They've got a good team. But I tell you what, Park Hill's their defense is really solid. And if there's a team that can beat John Burroughs and knock them off from southeast Missouri area, I think it's Park Hill's because they like I said they defensively they're so strong and they control the clock. They can keep their offense off the field with their running offense. And so if there's a team that can do it, it's Park Hill's. And I'd love to see it happen.
Yeah, didn't get to see Park Hills this year, but usually they're strong up front. That's their strength.
They're big, strong. They have a strong offensive line. Their running backs are big, strong guys. They're tough to bring down. They won't throw the ball much. They'll try to just try to run the ball slow paced. Control the clock and John Burroughs is kind of a more of an up tempo team, but they're very balanced and. They're just tough to defend just because they're so balanced, and they have big, strong linemen too that will match up very well with Park Hills. So it's going to be an uphill battle for Park Hills today.
Yeah. John Burroughs. You'd think with the team they had last year, I think it was Zeke Elliott goes to Ohio State, and they're going to be down a little bit. No, they just reload and.
Yeah, they private schools have that option though. They not to start the public-private debate, but they do have that a better core of people to draw from each year. So they're expected to be better each and every year, and they do. They just reload every year. They've got some good talent there too, and good coaching staff. Gus Farrat was a coach there up until I think July. Then he left, and they hired another coach, and he just kept the program rolling. They just have the things rolling up there, and it's a good school and they, like I said, they're in it every year, and it seems like they can never just get over that hump in that state championship game. And Maryville will probably stand in their way again. Spoof Hounds, they're not wanting to give up that state title, and they've kind of owned John Burroughs the last few years. But Maryville, they kind of have the same thing as Park Hill Central: good defense, strong offense, big offensive linemen. They kind of run the ball a lot. So that's the formula to beat John Burroughs. So we'll see what Park Hills can do today.
Yeah, no, we'll take a look at that Class 3 bracket before we move on. John Burroughs right there with Park Hills Central, Eldon taking on Seneca, McClutter South in California, Oak Grove and Maryville. And as you mentioned, Maryville, defending state champions, in the mix once again. They took a loss earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Not exactly sure who that was.
I can't remember who beat them, but I remember it wasn't a surprising loss. It was a good team they lost to, and California's a very good team there too. California could make some noise. Oak Grove's very good. So any of those teams on the bottom side of that bracket are going to give all kinds of problems to whoever comes out of that top half, because football in that part of the state and up around Maryville and everything, that's just some great football up there. Maryville, Chillicothe, and they always have great teams come out of there, and they're just so fundamentally sound, and they're tough to beat when it comes to state playoff time.
Sure, we'll see how it plays out today. They're in Class 3. Now moving up to Class 4, we got the Cape Central Tigers. Moving on to the quarterfinal round, and what a run they've had this year.
Yeah, you talk about a team that's hot right now. I think they're averaging 60 points a game in the last 4 games. They're putting some points up.
That's productive.
Yeah, but they're going up against a team in Miller Career who's only given up in their last, I think, 5 games 24 points. So, but Miller Career's not played anybody. I mean, you look at their schedule; they're very, very weak schedule up in the public schools league up in St. Louis. There's nobody on their schedule that is, has a winning record, I don't think. And I think Cape Central wins today. And I don't know how it works out because they have Webb City next. But I can't wait to see a Southeast Missouri team play against Webb City. I've been wanting that for years. Almost had it a couple years ago with Sykeston in the state championship game, and that kind of didn't happen. And I've always wanted to see how a team from Southeast Missouri would match up against Webb City, just so I can see Webb City, because they're so fun
now,
to watch.
Are you confident that Webb City will win today?
Well, they always win. We talk about
going out on a limb here.
We talk about Valley. We talk about John Burroughs. Webb City. I mean, it's every year. I think they lost a regular season game for the first time in like 100 games or something. And it was still to an out-of-state team.
It was the out-of-state team.
It was still an out-of-state team. It's like they just don't lose to Missouri schools, and they are the cream of the crop, I think, when it comes to Missouri football, in my opinion. And I just want to see them play. And I would love for that to be in Cape, so I could get up there and watch that. That would just be outstanding. And Cape could give them some problems. They have just amazing speed. They have speed all over the place. They throw the ball well when they have to, but they just hand it to Mikey Jones, their running back, who is kind of playing himself into that car trophy conversation. He had 333 yards against Hillsborough in the district championship game. He's the all-time leading rusher at Cape Central now, and just is piling up 250, 300-yard games each game now. Just so fast, strong, very elusive, and I think they beat Miller Career today, and I think they play Webb City. I think that's the way we're headed. Unless there's a big letdown in Cape today, I would be shocked to see Cape lose today.
Well, Cape, we've been used to seeing Sykeston for so long. Here in this mix, Class 4, District 1 champion, deep playoff run, and now Cape Central, it's their time this year.
Yeah, it is. They handled Sykeston earlier in the season, and they kind of rolled through the district. I mean, like I said, they're averaging 60 points a game in the last 4, and 3 of those were district games, and they haven't even really been close. I think Hillsborough played them close for about a half, and then second half Cape Central just opened it up on them, and they're very well coached. They have like I said, playmakers all over the place, big strong linemen. They're a team that's a lot like Sykeston's been in the past. Playmakers all over the place. Yeah,
it's exciting to see Cape Central make their run this year. Looks like they got a good chance to move on and make that big matchup.
Yeah, they
with
played
Webb
a tough
City.
schedule early to get them ready for this too. They played a lot of tough teams early on their schedule. That's why they don't have the greatest record. I think they were 1-4 going into the Sykeston game, or something like that. But losses to some really good schools, and then all of a sudden they just kind of turn it on, and they played really well.
Yeah. So good luck to those Cape Central Tigers later on today. It'll be exciting to see if they can move on to that semifinal round. And I can't even remember a Cape Central team making it to the semifinal round.
I can't either. This is that would be the furthest that I can remember. Usually they get in the playoffs, and usually this is about where they stall out is the quarterfinals. So we'll see. I know they had some good teams there with Mitch Kraft, and a few years ago back in the early 2000s. That made it about but they kind of always fell short in the quarterfinals. So hopefully they can get past and just see how a Southeast Missouri school could match up against Webb City.
Yeah.
It may not be pretty.
It may not, but hey, it'll be fun. Yeah. And moving on up to Class 5, and in Class 5 we got the Jackson Indians making a run once again this year, and they're going to take on Webster Groves, and this is another striving team right now. The Jackson Indians making just a couple years ago they were in the basement of Jackson traditional football. You're talking about one of the storied programs in Southeast Missouri. It's the Jackson football program, and it seems like it's back in full force.
Yeah, a coach I know told me whenever they hired Coach Eckley from Union 2 years ago, said that could have just awakened a sleeping giant, and I think it has. Jackson's always had all the talent up there, but they just a few years ago they just never could get it rolling. And Coach Eckley is a proven winner from. He came from Union, but he's won everywhere he's been, and it didn't take him long to get Jackson rolling either. They had a good team last year, and this year they just keep building on it and keep getting better. And this year's Jackson team was really good. I saw them play against Sykeston and just handed to Sykeston. And they beat a Vianney team the other day who has a running back who's going to Mizzou who has had a great year. I think he set the state record for rushing yards in a game, and they held him to hardly anything. I think he maybe had 100 yards, but it was a lot of carries. He really had to earn what he got, and they're just playing really well right now. They have an outstanding quarterback in Dante Van Dieven who's getting D1 looks all over. I think Mizzou's looking at him, and he's just a junior. He'll be back next year. They've got they have a very good team, and they're very solid offensively, very fun to watch. They can run it, they can throw it, and their defense is obviously playing well. Holding Vianney scoreless, and they held Sykeston scoreless earlier in the year. They play really good defense lately, and so everything's clicking for them. Webster Groves is a tough team. They're pretty much mirror images of each other. They're very balanced both, and have big linemen and. Just very, very similar teams, and so anything, I wouldn't be surprised by anything that happens in Jackson today because I think that's going to be an outstanding football game.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Jackson football, probably a different team that you would expect, from years past.
Yeah,
they get into that spread offense now.
Yeah, now they run the spread and they can throw it. Their quarterback is very mobile and he can run it. And he's very elusive. He's got a great arm and can throw it all over the place. But then they'll hand it off to some of the running backs too, and they can get that old running game that they used to have. But they're not going to line it up in the I formation with two tight ends like they used to and just kind of pound at you. They're not that kind of team anymore. They're a very explosive offensive team, and they're really fun to watch. If anybody ever gets a chance to go watch a Jackson team coached by Coach Eckley, you do it because they're fun to watch. And just going to Jackson for a football game is an experience. And they call it the pit. Before the game, they blare the loud rock music, and the team's fired up, and it's just a great atmosphere to watch a football game. And and I'm sure it's going to be just wall to wall people there today.
And it's in Jackson today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be an exciting game today. Those people are going to be. They've been waiting for this for a few years. I think 2007 is the last time they had a run this deep, and so Jackson loves their football. They're going to be out in force today.
Yeah, and that's one intimidating place to play.
No, it is.
I can imagine for opposing teams.
Fans are on top of you in that place.
And there's no track. That's the difference. There's no track around the field. The bleachers are right on the sidelines.
Yeah, and you get hit too hard, you're going into the bleachers, and going in the stands, and those fans are all over you, and they have. And there's really not much of a away seating,
No.
So if you're the visitors and you're on that visiting sideline, you're getting heckled by the fans all game long. And I was there when Sykeston lost to Jackson, and Sykeston kind of ran out before the game and jumped on the 50-yard line on their little Indian head right out there. Yeah. They didn't take too kindly to that, and you could tell by the score. It was 49-0 was the score, but those fans were just all over Sykeston the whole game, and it was fun. It was fun. It was fun to see. It's a great atmosphere to watch a high school football game, and it's the way it should be.
Yeah, there's really no other experience than going to a high school game than going to a Jackson high school football game.
No kidding. Yeah.
And without the track, that makes
it makes a huge difference.
A big difference. I remember going my first game there back in college. Never went to a game there until I was in college and went to a game there, and that was around 07, 08 when they had them really good teams then. And I just could not believe how close you were to the sideline. I just couldn't believe it.
And it's loud because it's in that, they call it the pit because it's in a little bit of a pit, and the sound just kind of encompasses you. It's just it is a loud place, and when you're warming up, they're blaring that rock music, and they're getting ready to go. So
I can remember I don't know if they still do it. I remember they'd blare the music, and then when they'd come running out, they'd play that. Remember that scene from Rudy, where he says, "No one comes into our house and pushes us around. No one." They play that, and it's a big time deal.
Yeah, people are fired up when that game starts. I mean, especially when they're good. When they're good, there's nothing like it going to a football game there.
Yeah, and if the visitors want a seat behind their bench, they better show up a couple hours early because the bleachers will fill up.
Yeah, you'll be standing around the field, and they'll be standing 6-7 people deep, around the field, just trying to look over the shoulder just to see, and they'll pack them in there today for sure.
Yeah, great atmosphere there. It certainly should be in Jackson. And those are we don't have anyone in Class 6. Certainly not participating in Class 6 here locally, but got some teams that can make some moves. We got Crothersville, Jackson, Cape Central, and further up the way, Park Hill Central and St. Genevieve. So we got a pretty good round of teams here. Generally in the Southeast Missouri area, they can make some runs this year.
It's nice seeing Southeast Missouri football doesn't get a lot of respect around the state, so it's nice seeing these teams have a chance to get to the semifinals and maybe even make that state championship game. It's anytime you get schools this far, it's good for the area, and you root for all of them. I root for all the local teams, and hopefully they just keep winning.
Yeah, what we struggle with so much in Southeast Missouri, we just don't have the depth as the other teams have.
Like we were saying, Lamar, they're a Class 2 team. They have 70 players. And you look at some of the sidelines. You look at Crothersville sideline. They don't have it. They're not deep. There's maybe 12, 15 guys on their sideline. They're not a deep team. And that's going to come into play when you're playing a team like Lamar, who's you have offense and defense and can 3 deep and have to take 4 buses to the game, and Crothersville shows up in 1, and it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference.
Well, you talk about just with football, so much different because you got an offense and a defense, and it's so physical. And if a player has to play both ways, by the fourth quarter, he's not going to be 100% being able to put on the field. And when any team that has to have players playing both ways, they're going to be at a disadvantage, no matter who it is.
Yeah.
Say Darryl Monroe, when he plays both sides, it doesn't matter. When it comes down to the end of the game, he's not going to be nearly as strong as he was the first of the game. So
and that but it's been that way for a long time, and that's why we have one state title in Southeast Missouri to
one program you wouldn't even think.
Yeah, Chaffee.
Yeah. And Haytie's made some good runs. They've played in that championship game a few times, but just haven't really made that.
And really, there's not a lot of championship game appearances from like I said, Hayti and Matter made it once, and there's been a few. Jackson made it a couple times back in the 90s, but that's really about it. There's not been a whole. A lot just never. It kind of always stalls out in the quarterfinals, and then
that quarterfinal round is kind of the benchmark.
Right.
If you make the quarterfinal round, you've had a
great season.
If you get past that, oh man, it's you'll be remembered for ages.
Yeah, those semifinal teams, they're remembered forever. They didn't even make that state championship game. So.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it works. But basketball, a little different story. Though.
Yeah,
a little different story.
Yeah, Southeast Missouri gets quite a bit of respect for basketball.
Yeah, we got those record books pretty much taken care of. Yeah, we're well represented in the record books. And we'll just briefly talk about some basketball coming up. The Riverbend Classic, always a big deal over Thanksgiving weekend. Just to take a look at those games coming up Friday the 29th and Saturday the 30th. Of course, we got some local teams participating. Nevada County Central will take on Cape Central, Scott County Central versus Covington, Tennessee, Charleston versus West Memphis, and Kennett versus Liberty Tech. And those are the 8 teams to look forward to this year, and going to be some good teams in there this year.
Yeah, a little bit of a different look this year. They had some teams drop out late, and so they added Liberty Tech and then Cape Central. So normally there's 4 out-of-state schools when they play the in-state schools, but they had some teams drop out late, so they had to kind of do some rearranging. But Liberty Tech's a very good school from Tennessee. I think they're from Jackson, Tennessee, and they're going to be a big physical team. They're going to be a tough challenge for Kennett and in that first game, and of course Cape Central and New Madrid. That's a SEMO conference game right off the bat.
Yeah.
I know Coach Day, and Cape Central too. They didn't really want to play that game just the way the team that Cape Central was filling in for. They already had the schedule set, so they just kind of slipped into that spot, and they hate playing them that early. But it's going to be a great game to start off the season. I'm looking forward to that game.
And we'll speak briefly about these teams here. Cape Central, one team I'm looking forward to seeing this year. I think they're going to make some waves this year, potentially Class 4 district champion this year.
I start to say, if I had a gun to my head right now, I would say they're the favorite to win Class 4 District 1. I know Sykes has had the run of it the last, I think, 5 or 6 years, but I think Cape Central is the team to beat right now at this point, without anybody playing or anything, just from what they have back from last year. And they're very talented, very, very talented, and I expect big things from them this year. That's going to be a tough district with Kennett and Sykes in there too, and Notre Dame is going to be much improved from last year.
Young team last year coming back.
Yeah, and I saw them play in the summer, and they can shoot. So it's
The only thing is, I don't think they'll have near the size.
No, they won't. They won't have as much size, but they can spread you out and shoot the ball. And they proved last year at times that's they could win some games that way. And they were young.
We've seen in the past if they get hot.
Oh yeah.
Go back to that game with the dominant Sykeston team a few years back. They shot the lights out and beat Sykeston a couple years ago when they were making their state title run. They're certainly a capable team.
That's going to be an outstanding district at the end of the year. The SEMO Conference tournament that's going to be in a few weeks is going to be maybe one of the top tournaments in the state this year with the 1 to 8. I mean, there's some outstanding talent 1 to 8 in that tournament, and it's basketball is getting ready to get started, and it's going to be a great start to the season, I think, this year.
Certainly will be. And Cape Central, they just didn't have I just don't think they had the experience to keep up with Sykeston last year. They had some guards that were around sophomores.
Yeah, they have some young guards that are going to be their experience this year. They've been in that district title game. They know what to expect, and Sykeston lost a lot off last year's team.
The backcourt matchup last year, Cape Central, it was basically sophomores versus seniors.
Right.
That's a big gap, especially with the talent that Sykeston had at that senior position.
Right, and now Sykeston still has JT Jones back, who's going to be an outstanding player, and he's going to get his 20 points and his 10 rebounds a game. But outside of that, they're looking. They've had some injuries in the offseason that they're still trying to recover from. They had one of their top players, Jarius Ray, broke his leg, kind of like the Louisville kid did, and he's not expected back until after Christmas or around that time. And still even then, they're not sure when he's going to be 100%. And so Sykeston's kind of they're trying to find some pieces. Cape Central has the pieces. They're just trying to I think Cape Central is going to start off a little bit ahead here, and we'll see how that helps them. And early season game with New Madrid will kind of because New Madrid they have Willie Jemerson back, who's an outstanding guard. So that's going to be an outstanding matchup that first game.
Yeah, they lose quite a bit off of New Madrid.
Right, they only have two back. They should be pretty good still. Some of the kids are bringing back. They're pretty talented. And Willie Jemerson is a difference maker. He's an outstanding player, and he's fun to watch. And he can make things happen. Little guy who can jump up and dunk, and he can hit the outside shot. He's got an outstandingly quick first step. He's fun to watch, and that's going to be a great matchup in that first game with the Cape Central guards and him.
Yeah, we should mention, if we're going to mention Cape Central, you got to mention Jamal Cox.
Yeah,
6'6".
Yeah, he's
going to be.
He's not a little quick guard. He is a monster beast on the inside, and can rebound and cleans up the glass and does an outstanding job. And really, I thought came on the end of last season. I mean, he was good already, but I thought he really improved from the beginning of last season to the end. I thought he was much improved at the end of the year, and I saw him over the summer. It still has some polishing to do, but he's going to be an outstanding player.
Yeah, man, he's probably going to be one of the top players, if not the top player in the area this year. And we mentioned Kennett is going to be in there. Kvonte Mitchell, big time player.
Yeah, outstanding player.
He's not a small, explosive guy. He's a big, explosive guard. And he's around 6'3", 6'4", and he's. You knew when coming in his freshman year when he was starting to get some varsity times that, man, this kid's going to be great. And we saw it last year. We saw it sophomore year, and then really stepped it up last year. And his senior year is going to be something to watch.
He can get to the rim, can't he?
He sure can.
He's a heck of a player, and Kennett's going to be. He's a great starting piece for Kennett. But Kennett has some other pieces around him that are going to be good. They're going to be deep. I think they're going to play an up-tempo, kind of like Sykes has done in the past. You play 10 players, and they're a lot of mixing and matching. And I think that they're going to be a tough team to beat. They're going to wear teams down, and I think they're really going to be good this year. I really do. They may not start out real strong. So they're trying to fit some pieces in there, but I think by around Christmas time they're going to be clicking, and I think they're going to be a tough team to play, especially when it comes to district time.
Yeah, the only weakness they'll have, they're a little small when it comes to the size. They're going to lose. They lost Antonio Primer, and he was kind of their big body underneath.
Yeah, they lost their height, but what they lost in height, they're going to make up for in quickness, I think.
Yeah.
And
you talk about Akeem Nelson coming along too, sophomore guard this year.
Yeah, and he's they're going to have some serious quickness, and that's sometimes I think that's better than height because you can't teach height and you can't teach quickness, and so and I think they're going to be able to press teams all up and down the floor and just get out and run and just run teams kind of in the ground, like I said, like some of the old Sykeston teams used to do with whenever they went and won their state title. That's what they did. They weren't big, but they were fast, and they would just kind of press you and just run you ragged the entire game, and by the end of the game you're just dragging and they're still fresh. So I think Kennett has the ability to do that this year.
Yeah, and Scott County Central, the other team that's playing, and this is usually when they have their losses of the year. You think back some of the greatest teams they've had, even with Otto Porter. This is when they take their losses, and then from here they just run through their schedule.
And they're going to be good again.
They're going to be really good again.
They've got Banks back, and he's a player. And they've always it seems like they always have that one guy who's just an outstanding player. And they've got some other guys too. They've got another Porter there who's going to be a player, and so they're set. They're going to be good. Now whether they win these games, like you said, I don't know. They're matched up against some tough teams, but they'll hold their own. They're not going to get embarrassed, and then usually after that Riverbend, then like you said, they'll go on a run. They'll win 20 of 22 and roll into districts. And
these kids are going to be hungry, taking that loss to Eminence in the quarterfinals last year. Yeah, Eminence, very good team, probably the better team last year. And they're going to come back with a good team as well. But, that's going to sting, when they coming off a state championship that they were considered the underdog and they wanted to do it again. And taking that loss, that's going to create some hunger this year for the Braves.
Last year after they lost to Eminence, I was happened to be driving by Scott County School on Sunday. I think it was the games on Saturday. I drive by school on Sunday and parking lots full of cars playing basketball. They were ready, and they're going to be ready this year. They're using that as motivation, and they're going to be, they'll be a typical Scott County Central team. They're going to get up and down the floor. They're going to be able to shoot it. They're going to, they're going to be a smaller team, but they're going to be able to rebound with anybody. They're just going to be a typical Scott County Central team, and to me, I think they're going to be one of the favorites again in Class 1.
Yeah, I think they're the preseason favorite to win a state championship with the kids they've got coming back. And Lorantis Banks, you talk about a primetime player.
Oh yeah.
Going back to his sophomore year, a couple years ago in that state championship, that come up with some big shots, and he's a big time player.
There's some outstanding talent in Southeast Missouri this year in basketball, and just all over the place this year. Just outstanding players, and I think it's going to be one of them. It's going to be an entertaining season, and maybe one of the most entertaining it's been in a while. There's been not necessarily some down years, but some years it just wasn't, up to what normally Southeast Missouri has. I think this year is going to be just a tremendous year for baskipball in Southeast Missouri.
To speak briefly about some other teams, you talk about Bernie coming along and South Penn, the improvements they made from last season.
I think maybe about 5, 6, 7 years ago, Class 2 around here is just kind of like you just kind of look at it now. Class 2 is extremely strong. Like I said, with Bernie and South Penn, Hayti will be good again. There's going to be a lot of teams in Class 2 that can throw their name in the hat. But there's Class 2 basketball around Southeast Missouri has really gotten entertaining and difficult, and there's some good teams, and usually the teams that come out of here have a great in every class really have a great chance to make that state title run.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch. This is going to be one of the up years in high school basketball this year, top to bottom when it comes to Class 1 all the way up to Class 5. It'll be really fun to watch.
Yeah, it will. And even some of your mediocre teams that they're just kind of on that I call them tweeners. They're going to be a lot better than they've normally been. It's going to be. I just can't wait. Just can't wait till it gets started.
Yeah, we got a couple more weeks till we get started, and let's take a look at those Saturday games. Mention the Saturday games real quick. Afternoon it'll be Scott County versus Kennett, Liberty Tech versus New Madrid, Covington, Tennessee versus Charleston, and West Memphis taking on Cape Central. So look forward to that Riverbend Classic at New Madrid coming up Thanksgiving weekend, the 29th and 30th.
It's kind of funny, we've talked about all these teams. We haven't even mentioned Charleston. Charleston's been kind of with Scott Central's been the elite team for years and years. We haven't even mentioned them yet, and they're going to be good again. it's just like I said, it's going to be an outstanding year for high school basketball, and I'm so excited for it to get started.
Yeah, that's kind of disrespectful, actually, if you think about it. Not that we mentioned all these great teams and leaving out Charleston, and they're going to have a great team coming back this year again. So, yeah, we apologize. So, a lot to look forward to right now. High school football winding up. We got some teams participating in that. I'm on to college. High school basketball right around the corner. A lot to look forward to there as well. So it's an exciting year so far, and we'll certainly be looking forward to seeing how it all plays out for the rest of the way. And David, we appreciate you coming by today and talking about these high school football games. And we kind of got carried away with the basketball, but it's pretty easy. You talk about what's around the corner coming up. So very exciting time. So we'll be looking forward to seeing how it all plays out. And we'll be seeing you down the road, probably basketball season. When it kicks around, we'll have you back and start to talk about these teams more in depth, and it'll be fun.
Yeah, can't wait.
All right, we'll be looking forward to it. And don't go away. We're going to talk briefly about some college football and pro football games taking place this weekend, so don't go away.
It's the small things in life that you tend to appreciate. The quality of care at SEMO Health Network is no different. They focus on the small details with healthcare that make you feel good, so you can get back to enjoying the small things in no time. They have so many ways to take care of you with 8 locations serving rural communities in need of medical care, including dental facilities and an in-house laboratory.
You'll feel good about this. SEMO Health Network.
Call Audubell Hearing Center at 1-800-499-8786 or visit one of our locations in Dexter and Poplar Bluff, Missouri today.
And before we go today, we want to give you an update on some college football and pro football games taking place this weekend, and starting out with the college games. Coming down to the last few games of the season here, we got 3rd-ranked Ohio State at Illinois in the Big Ten, 23rd-ranked Miami at Duke in the ACC, 16th-ranked Michigan State at Nebraska, 12th-ranked Oklahoma State at 24th-ranked Texas in the Big 12, Syracuse at 2nd-ranked Florida State in the ACC, 25th-ranked Georgia at 7th-ranked Auburn in the SEC. Big matchup there. Auburn, one of those teams making some waves this year. They got a big game with Alabama coming up next week. Florida at 10th-ranked South Carolina in the SEC, 4th-ranked Stanford at USC in the Pac-12, and our local teams, Texas State at Arkansas State and SEMO at Austin Peay. So those are some college football games to look forward to today. And in the NFL, the Jets at the Bills in the AFC East, Ravens at the Bears, the Browns at the Bengals, Redskins at the Eagles, Lions at the Steelers, Falcons at the Buccaneers, 49ers at the Saints. Big game there. They're in the NFC. They're in New Orleans this weekend. Packers at the Giants. The Chiefs at the Broncos. Probably the game of the week. They're in the AFC West. The winner of that game is going to have the lead in the AFC West and potentially a first-round bye or a home field advantage in the AFC at that point. So a big game comes Sunday night on NBC between those two teams. And Monday Night Football, big game. Which you wouldn't probably expect it coming into this season. Patriots at the Panthers in Carolina. Carolina's really come a long way, playing very well at this time. Should be a good game between those two teams. So that's what's to look forward to this weekend. And we'll be looking forward to seeing how these games play out in high school football. We'll be getting ready for the semifinal round after today, and the semifinal round will be next Saturday. So next Saturday's roundtable will probably give you a little preview of those games and everything else that's happening in the area. So that's our show for today. We appreciate you for tuning in as always, and we'll see you next week. And until then, take care.